What's going on out there, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Caveman Mods. Today, we're going to talk about this here Chevelle. Don't worry about the mess that's around it. A little bit of a mess. But that's what it's looking like now. It's going to be kind of a quick video, but I want to give y'all a little bit of an update as to this scenario here. Told y'all why we got to this, because, of course, I ate a lobe off the cam. And if you'd like, I'd show you that. Actually, I may go ahead and do that. But I got this all torn down. Got the cam out. We're not building this block, just so you know. But the only thing we're using off this block is the heads. Got those here. Brand spanking new. Yeah. Need to get them cleaned up because it was running rich. Only ran it a couple times. But I got to get this mess all cleaned up here. So I figured I'd take a break and show you what's going on here. Actually, I haven't worked on it today. My hands are still clean. So, but yeah. Called it quits here last night at this point, and I'm gonna get this mess cleaned up, and we're gonna get to working on this. I gotta get the lines pulled off. The only other thing we're gonna use on this block is the oil pan. Everything else, oh yeah, I'm sorry, and all the head studs, obviously. Oh great, now my hands are dirty. So this is where I had to remake my steering shaft here to clear my headers, but all I did was put the knuckle here, knuckle there, and then welded a heim joint right there to the frame. So that's how that worked. Anyways, side to point. This looks like crap. We'll get it pulled out of the car today and get it put on this here stand I got from a really cool place up in Louisville, Kentucky called Street and Strip. They'll be getting some of my business from time to time. But yeah, so we're going to put it on the engine stand, or the engine, whatever you call it, but that's where it's going to live for the time being until I get it put back together. This engine is going to go back together. I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to put the heads on it that came on it, the 427 heads. I'll get another oil pan for it, and I have to get a new intake for it. Only because the intake that I'm took off of this is going to stay with the motor that I'm building over here. Don't pay any attention to these. This is a greenhouse ordeal I'm building. So as of last night, I hadn't made no videos on this, guys, because I'm trying to just knock this out. I painted my block. Alright, so before you guys see this, I did paint the block. And I'm going to tell you that once I painted the block, as I got to really cleaning it and inspecting it, I seen some rust in my lifter holes, or the lifter bores. So I took it back to the machine shop, had the lifter bores honed, and while I was at it, I went ahead and just changed the cam bearings because I did find a little bit of foreign material on my cam bearings that I did not like. So we went ahead and took it off, or swapped them out. Probably gonna have to get a gasket for this. I probably could use RTV, but I would much rather have a gasket. So anyways, yeah, the block looks like crap now because once I took it back to that machine shop, I had them hot tank it again. And, of course, when they did that, it gets it to, I think, up to 500 degrees. And, yeah, all my beautiful paint come off. Man, I primered this thing and had it looking real good. It was sharp. And now it looks like crap again. So I'm going to throw it together. Being that my oil pan is still that color, or same color. We're just going to paint it with the oil cam, or the oil pan and all the internals in it. I'm going to throw the crappy timing chain cover on it and just paint it all. Of course, I'm going to leave the heads off. I'm going to tape all the top end off, but I'm not worried about the bottom end. So yeah, last night, no, it wasn't last night. The night before, I got the crank put in. We got all the bearing clearances done. I didn't make any videos on all that because, I mean, you guys can get online and find from some other videos who makes, or you find other videos that tell you how to check bearing clearances. But I mean, run down real quick, just set your bearings in, dry, make sure everything is clean. Your shaft on your cam, or the crank, you know, the journal itself, you want to make sure it's clean. You want to make sure the housing for the race, the bearing race, is clean. And you set your crank in dry. Well, you put your bearings in first, obviously. Then you put your crank in, and then you set a piece of Plasti-gauge, which is this stuff. Well, ain't much of a Ain't much of a thing on that, but here, this is Plasti-gauge. It's just a little green strip of plastic that's down inside there. Little strip, you set it, boom, set that little strip right there at the very top in the center of all these, and torque your caps down and pull your caps back off. And you want to ensure that everything is dry, because if you have any kind of lubricant in there, then what it does is it makes up the difference in the tolerances. So you have to be absolutely dry, no kind of lubricant, no foreign material, nothing in there. So you want to make sure this is as clean as it could possibly be. It doesn't look as clean as it could be right now because I sprayed it down with WD-40 last night before I went to bed. But so anyways, got the crank in, got the cam in. You can see it down there. Got all the timing gears and stuff on the front of it. And I spent the better part of yesterday measuring all the piston rings. So I got the rings and everything. I'll show you here in a minute. I got the rings and everything here filed down. They're all in here in the bag now, but I got all the rings, everything on. And we gapped all the rings at 30 thousandths. So we got some room for expansion for boost. I don't know if I showed you guys. I think I did, but these are the Icon pistons, forged pistons. 21cc dome top pistons. Not quite as big of a dome as what's on that particular piston. But the reason being is because I have a bigger stroke now. This is a 4-inch stroke. This crank over here is a 4 1/4 stroke. So I'm gonna end up with the same 10.5 to 1 compression with these pistons. But yeah, I spent the better part of yesterday gapping all these rings. That is a very tedious process, but got it done. Today we're gonna get these thrown in, try to get the heads on it, get the oil pump in it, get everything else buttoned up the best we can, and I will flip you around here. And I'm going to take this block out of this car here today. Will do my best to keep you guys updated as I go. This is a dirty ordeal. You know, you get grease, oil all over your hands. Still can't find my GoPro. Actually, 90% sure I know where it's at. I took it to the car show with me when I took this thing, and it's probably buried up under all these car parts in the back seat now. And it's, yeah, ton of car parts in there. So I want to go digging through all that to try to find them. So I'll check back in here with you guys in a little bit, give you an update on where we're at with this. But I'm going to get these pistons put in today. I got to get my bearing clearances checked on that, on the rod journals, and then from there start getting ready to put heads on. So I'll get back to you guys here in a little bit and let you know where we're at. All right, guys, so I got you here over the block here. We're see, we got our H-beam rods in here, front and back. Get a little close up of this right here. You see that chamfered edge? Here, let's go over to this one. Get a little sturdier. You see that chamfered edge right there? You see that little bit of clearance right there? That chamfered edge rides right here on the lip of the crank. Right where that, you see where it's got that little bit of an edge on that side and on that side. You want to make sure your rods are indexed that way. It's imperative that you do that. God, guys, I'll be messing some stuff up out here. But yeah, it's the flat sides of your crank, the wider flat side, or I mean your rods. Boom, right here. They ride right up next to one another. And if I was y'all, I would advise you put a little bit of, that's what I'm using for assembly lube. VP Racing Assembly Lube. Some good stuff right here, guys. This is slicker than snot, buddy. It's like silk, honestly. You wipe it on your fingers, or you get it on your fingers and then try to get it off. It's like impossible. Soaks into your skin. Good moisturizer. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to dab a little bit on the sides of these rods right here, so it doesn't have that much friction right there. But I will do so before assembly, not right now. Right now, we're dry fitting the caps, bearings, all that. You're gonna lay your line. When you're measuring for a bearing, guys, a lot of people are going to put this on here. And they're going to use the center line right here. Right down the center of where these two meet. That is incorrect, guys. Do not measure right here. If you understand what I'm saying, that this rod is indexed in that orientation. When you're going to do your Plasti-gauge, you want it dead center right here. So this one will end up being over here, over this hole. I'm going to change that. We're going to turn this crank a little bit so this is more top right here, more at the top, this lobe. And yeah, I probably should have did that already, but no big deal. We'll get that moved down to the center, and that'll put these holes under where I need them to be. So hold 1 second and I'll get that moved. Just like this, guys. Boom. See, this rod goes straight down that way. So this rod is dang near perfectly straight this way. Understand? I mean, you get what I'm saying. You get my drift. So you want this piece of Plasti-gauge right there dead center, because that's where your load is carried on this cap. This is always pushing down at the top or pulling up from the bottom. You don't want to get your measurements off to the sides of the center of this. You will not get an accurate measurement. Same on this side. This piece of Plasti-gauge is going to be right here. So I'll get this Plasti-gauge on here and get this torque down. Y'all don't need to see the process of torquing bolts. So I'll get this on here real fast, torque down, and then we'll pull this off, see if we're good on the bearings before we move on to the next sets. We'll do each one, and as we're done, we'll put it together, be finished with it, move to that set, and that set. We'll measure and put together, measure and assemble at the same time. All right, so I'll get back to you when I'm done Plasti-gauging this. Another tip for you guys, when you're torquing down any of these bolts, every bolt in this block I'm using is an ARP fastener. So when you're torquing these, you use this ARP Ultra Torque Fastener and Assembly Lubricant. You will get the most accurate torque specs with this right here. Can't use anything else. This is not cheap, but I mean, it's not that expensive either. I mean, when it comes to building your build correctly, you know, you want to make sure you do it right. So yeah, I highly suggest you just invest in the bigger bottle right here. It'll last you several builds. But yeah, so you want to put this assembly lube on every bolt that's going to be torqued down, especially with ARP hardware. It'll give you accurate torque specs every time. Not a paid advertisement for them, but this stuff's awesome. So I'm going to continue on. Alright guys, give you a little update on what I got here. Just kind of been hammering on this all day. And I got the heads on it, so I didn't get the chance to show you the pistons in the block, but I will show that to you. Got the pistons, everything in, rods and everything's in. Got all the clearance right. We're 2.5, almost 3 thousandths on all my clearances. I ended up using the Cleveite bearings. I got Eagle rods, Eagle crank, and I guess they tend to run a little tighter tolerances. So I got an undersized set of bearings, and they're Cleveite bearings. They're not the coated King bearings like I originally wanted, but they're the H series bearings, and it's the only thing I can get for a backup set. So that's what we ended up running with. So yeah, they're 1,000ths under. I was with my other set, the King Racing bearings I had. One, they were for an aluminum rod, and two, they had a dowel in the bottom and the cap right here, the lower. So yeah, it had a hole in the end of the bearing or in the cap. Dang it. It had a hole in the lower for an aluminum rod, because the aluminum rod has a dowel that holds the bearing in place. These didn't have that. So one, I couldn't use those for that reason anyways. But luckily I went ahead and ordered a set. The only set that I can get for this right at the moment, at least overnighted from Summit, was the set that was 1,000ths under. So that put my clearance at a little over 2.5 thousandths. With the King Racing, I was at about 1.5, a little over 15 thousandths, I mean. And so yeah, now I'm at about 2.5 thousandths on all of them. So yeah, we got plenty of clearance. I'm at about 27 thousandths of clearance, maybe 26 thousandths of clearance right here between some of them. I don't remember which one. Some of them was 26, some was 27. But yeah, I got plenty of clearance. We need between 15 and 40 thousandths of clearance between the rods. And everything else down here is buttoned up. I got the high volume oil pump on here. I did have to notch it around the ARP head stud back here, or the main cap bolt. I had to notch it a little bit right there, but no big deal. Let's see. Getting ready to call it a night, but put the iron heads on it for the time being because I'm going to paint the block. I'm not even going to put an intake on them. I'm just going to tape everything right here. Tape around this, no big deal. I'm going to put the oil pan on because the oil pan is the same color as the block's going to be anyways. These are the heads that's not going to get used for anything. These are pretty much junk. They're just peanut port heads. Not going to even do anything with them. Those heads over there are 427 heads off a 66 Stingray. So for sale if anybody wants them. But I think I'm going to put them on the block that I got down here because we got the block out of the car. It's sitting over here, butt naked. And the reason I was going to make this video, I got the heads down here, cleaned them up a little bit, at least this one. I ain't cleaned this one up just yet. But yeah, see, I'm going to turn my camera, my light on. I wanted to show you guys all the trash. A lot of this is from cleaning the gaskets off and everything like that. So, just changed this oil in here right before I went down the road. There's a piece of the rocker that was missing. But yeah, I probably put maybe more intake gasket material, RTV, bunch of it down here. I just brushed it all in the block because I didn't care. I'm rebuilding it, so just in case you're wondering about that. But yeah, this oil has maybe 15 miles on it, and to show you here, you can see the swirls in it. There's a lot of metal in that, buddy. I want to let it be known that the motor that was in this car, this motor down here, I did not build, okay? I didn't check any of the bearing clearances. I don't know what cam was in that motor. That motor was probably about a $3,000-$4,000 motor from what I could tell, honestly. There was nothing spectacular about that motor other than the pistons. It has a factory crank, 2-bolt main, factory rods, sorry guys, factory rods, externally balanced. I mean, there's nothing special about this block whatsoever. I got to clean it up. But yeah, I mean, cam bearings still look good. And if I'm not mistaken, those are even hyper-eutectic pistons. I can't tell from the bottom down here. Maybe I can see better on the video, but well, sorry about all that, guys. I'm trying to see, so that's going to be in my video. But anyways, yeah, 2-bolt main. Nothing special about this block whatsoever. But yeah, so like an idiot, I just went ahead and threw these heads on it. I did know it was a 2-bolt main because I put the studs on, so I took the oil pan off, or not the studs, but the AN fittings. Welded them in from the inside here. Boom, boom, nice and pretty. Got both of those on there. But anyways, so yeah, these are dash 10 ANs. These are the return lines for the turbo, or turbos, plural. There's 2. I got to get this cleaned out. While I got this out, I'm gonna go ahead and clean all this up best I can and paint some of it because yeah, it just doesn't look that great. So we're gonna get this cleaned up and looking a little bit better. And that doesn't belong there anymore. Anyways, so there's the steering shaft that I made. Got the knuckle there, the knuckle there, the knuckle here, and then you can see the heim joint I got on right there. I'm gonna I welded it here all the way around the outside over to about right here on this side. So I got the inside of that. I got to finish up welding. I couldn't get to it because the block was in the way. I even got my short TIG gun, and I couldn't get it with that either. So we're gonna get that fixed up. Kind of want to see what stall inverter's in this while I got this out, but I'm just gonna say the heck with it and run with it because I don't want to go that far and start messing with the transmission. You can see I got the exhaust ran on this side all the way down under the car. I don't have this side done all the way yet. I do got the 4-inch that comes up to right here, right in this area, and then of course my header runs down to there under the firewall. So I just got to put that piece. This piece probably about 6 inches, 8 inches, tie them together. Got the transmission jack being held up right there so it doesn't fall. Getting ready to call it a night, but there's all the wiring, everything for the Holly system. And yeah, trying to get it all straightened up, everything buttoned up so I can paint this block. Next, while I'm waiting on that to dry, we're gonna get these heads cleaned up, get the intake cleaned up, get the water pump cleaned up, start slapping it together. Hopefully I'll have it finished up tomorrow. So we're gonna get this wrapped back up and call it a night, guys. Jeez, look at all that metal. That's crazy. That's all metal, guys. This is brand new oil. You can hear it. There's tons of metal down in there. Anyways, guys. Thanks for watching. Come back to another update, I guess. And, well, you know what? Yeah, come back for another update. I'll put this out and then I'll finish it up as I'm getting it done. So stick around for part 2. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry it's late. It's like 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning. Let me see. Yeah, it's 2:30 in the morning. So I'm going to get cleaned up, call it a night. Like, share, subscribe, comment. See you on the next one.